when it's review time, we gotta play this. So here we go.
Let's go.
I am okay. This life is a bore, but at least I've gotten waiting for. Are you ready for your eye exam?
This month's review is Doctor Who. It's a 1992 Bally game with design by Barry Ausler, Bill Futzenreiter. They're the designers. Art by Linda Deal. Bill Futzenreiter did software. Sound by John Hay. And pricing, according to the current Pinside price range, is about $3,000 to about $3,500. And who knows, with the pandemic, prices have gone crazy. But at least the Pinside pricing guide kind of gives us a go-to place to price these games. It may be a little higher than that right now, but so yeah, this is a little background on this and my personal experience with it. This is a game. This was I think my second game. I think this is the second game I owned. I don't know. Anyways, it's the longest standing game in my collection. I still have one. It's over there in the corner. I've recently done some. Recently, like a year ago, I did the Comet LED kit on it. It's got the GI OCD or an LED OCD on there, so the lighting still looks great. We'll talk more about the lighting in a little bit. We've done it on the Bro Show a bunch. We had it on the front page of Twitch when it was Doctor Who week or Doctor Who month or whatever that was that one time. So it's got a special place. I had never played it before I got mine. It came up, I think I found it on Craigslist or something, and it was in New Jersey. And I did a road trip out to this doctor's house in New Jersey in the mid 2010s. It was maybe 2014, 2015, something around there. And I picked this up, and it was funny at the time. I remember the guy saying, I have a basement full of all these games, and I just had to sell them now because they can't possibly go up any higher in price than what they are now. When I got this from this guy, and this game is doubled in value since I got it from him. So pinball pricing is crazy, but this is Doctor Who. Nick, I remember. Did you have it, or Phil had a Doctor Who, right?
Oh yeah, Phil had the Doctor Who that was at Reciprocal Skateboards.
Oh nice.
And what's notable about it's too bad he sold it. And what's notable about that, Reciprocal Skateboards was an awesome place, for the record. But what's notable about that one is that when Matt Smith on the TV show Doctor Who was the current Doctor, he was down there playing it along with I'm blanking on the female actress's name. Was his partner or whatever, but she was down there too. And she's gone on to just do a lot of stuff too these days. But there was a video online. It's probably still on YouTube. Doctor Who actually played that Doctor Who machine. Phil had it for a while. I don't watch Doctor Who anymore. I used to in the early 2010s or whatever. But it's kind of a nice history thing. I kind of wish I owned it or bought that from Phil and just had it so I could be like, yeah, this is Doctor Who's played this game.
Yeah, I remember that video now that you mentioned it. I had forgotten his was the one that was in that game. They signed it too, right?
I don't think they signed it.
No?
That's the thing.
Okay.
I mean, if they signed it, then it would have been I would have moved heaven and earth probably to keep that one. But it's without it signed, you sort of just have a story.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know the story, and that's all that matters, right? If you want to keep it as a keepsake. But yeah, I kind of wish I had that in my collection.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's talk about art on Doctor Who. So this is the backlash. This is a backlash that a lot of folks replace but I kind of like the original. So that for this review, I actually took pictures of my own game. So the pictures you're going to see of my games. But I kind of like the original art. I don't know. For the most part, I prefer to keep my pins original with art and sound and stuff like that. Rare occasions I'll change stuff like that. But
did you know that's not the original art? You know the backlash story?
I don't. Well, I think I probably have heard this, but I don't remember it. So I want you to lay it on us.
I really wish I prepped for this because I just remembered it as we're talking about it, right? So I read this probably 9 years ago, and I actually found the link. I'll put it in chat for everybody, so I'll put it there so you can check it out. So I'm not going to be able to give a detailed history, but you could see in that link what the original backlash was. This game used to be in kind of the other Bally style cabinet, and the backlash was different. And for some reason, from what I remember, at some reason at the final hour, they had to change the art. So this is why the art kind of sucks on it. It doesn't. I don't think it looks that good. I think the original backlash that was intended for this game looks much better.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't
Oh yeah,
know.
it had the different
it now?
backlash.
Yeah.
So it had like Gilligan's Island style back box, right? That's what that is.
Yeah.
Where it has the art kind of surrounds the dot matrix display, and then there's the speakers are at the top. So that's cool. Yeah, I don't remember if I've seen this before, but it's got basically the Doctor heads surrounding the Doctor Who logo, which was pretty cool. And then
they had one on test location, I guess, in that style, and that's when they had that other backlash. But I'll probably read the history after this again because it was an interesting story. So I would encourage people to look it up. But yeah, I think the art sucks on the backlash, and I think the story again is like they had to change it kind of the final hour. This is what you get.
Yep.
Sort of like it's like the World Poker Tour story. I think that backlash was changed in the final hour, and that's why you get a shitty backlash. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
How does this happen? Well, there's a story.
The reason why I wouldn't change this to like an alternate backlash is there's a lot of flashers and blinking lights in the back that so like the Doctor Who logo like animates with the lights and things like that. And if you change it to a different art layout, then none of those lights pair up where they're supposed to. It's just going to be like weird random blinking lights instead of highlighting the art in the way that it was intended. So that's why I wouldn't change it from this. But I obviously, yeah, seeing the original art, it's a lot better than what you ended up getting on the production machine, at least as far as the backlash is concerned. So here's the cabinet. One thing to note on this game is if you're looking to buy one or you have one, a lot of times the art will fade on the side. That was pretty common. I know we talked about this when we talked about Fishtails. The art fades on the side, especially the reds. So this one that I found the photo of, this is the one photo that I didn't take off my own machine because I couldn't get to the sides of it. Yeah, mine, one of the sides, my left side is faded more than my right, and the front is pretty well faded on mine with the reds, but the blues and the yellows end up being good. So if you see a game and it looks this sharp and with the reds, it's either a really well preserved original or it's more likely a redecaled art on the sides and the front and stuff. So one thing to look out for when you're buying the game. But yeah, it's just got like the Doctor Who logo and this like explosion look on the side with stars and like a starburst effect on the side and in the front. Pretty cool. Pretty, it was pretty common for that era to just have like a big logo on the side. You think of like Addams Family, it's just got a big logo with some other complementary arts next to it. What else? Here's the Playfield.
I think the cabinet's good for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean,
like the cabinet artwork
gets the job done, right? It's not bad. It's not great. It gets the job done.
So sometimes like the cabinet artwork can get so busy and you can throw a lot of shit on it. I think it's what it needs to be. Case.
Yeah, considering in that time it was all these went into arcades, so you had to for one, it's going to go into a lineup and you're never going to see the side art for in most instances. And maybe when the game first gets there, they put it on an end cap and you can see it from all sides. And then it's like, oh, that's a Doctor Who game. I'll go play that. And that's, if it draws somebody over because of the name, then it's mission accomplished, right? So here's the Playfield art. It's got what's that guy? The master in the middle there. He's kind of the
Kevin Manny looking guy.
Yeah. Before I shaved my head, crossed arms with a cape on, bunch of Daleks around him. What I really like about the lower art on this is, and you really notice this when you're streaming it, when you look at it from the top down, the Daleks on the slingshots integrate perfectly with the art. It's really well done. So it just looks like this row of Daleks from the top. And then, it's got good lines that kind of guide you to where you need to shoot the ball. The different doctors all over the playfield that point to their shots, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the rules of the game. But the doctors on the playfield correspond to how you play the game and some of the pre-game selection and choices you have to make when you're playing this. So that's from the left side. There's from the right side. A lot of yellows and blacks. That's kind of the predominant color down around the flipper area, and then there's dark blues, and so it's not a super busy playfield. There's a lot of areas of the playfield where it's just a dark blue with some stars and stuff. So it's not overly busy or cluttered. Lots of inserts. You got that whole grid of inserts in front of the time expander back there. But that's pretty much the art. What do you think about the art?
Yeah, I like the art in this game. Other than the back glass, I like the art.
Yeah, that's good. So let me jump back to our deal here. That's the art. Sound is where this game gets a lot of flack for its sound, especially for the screaming Daleks. People, especially if you don't know Doctor Who, it's like, why is this game screaming at me so much?
It's so good. If you know Doctor Who, it's so good, but it's also like the quality of the sound, right? It is sort of plays into the issue of it. It's very like a muddled, like early digitalization of sound, right? In a pinball machine where it's like, the technology for the time that this came out with doesn't translate well into the game. So it kind of gets muddled, but it's also so bad it's good in some way. Yeah, as Obi Drunken Obi says, super rough voice over quality transfer, and that's what you get. It's like, it's just sort of like muddled. It deserves better.
Yeah,
it deserves better is what I'm trying to say.
It also like so if you're playing through the video modes, like the deeper you get into the video modes, the louder the screaming gets. So
I do like that. I miss that about pinball, man. I miss pinball amping up the sound during certain moments, right? That was like I think now we do that with light shows.
Mm-hmm.
But there were games back in the day that some games, it's like, I'm going to show that this is an important moment. Like, I think like Twilight Zone, right? When you get the jackpot, how it just gets louder. Like, why did we forget about that? I know maybe it's tough at a bar, public location. People might hate that, but I think we can bring that back a little bit.
You gotta get the hype going when you're on.
Or setting, like a setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
This should be a setting. Put it like the default setting is like louder sound hype build up, and let us turn it off. But
yeah,
I digress.
Lord of the Rings does that too. Like during the multiballs, it gets really loud. It's like, amp it up and show off if you're doing well in the arcade, or get you excited if you're playing at home. I like it. Maybe if you're next to the kid's bedroom and they're sleeping, maybe not so much. But yeah, if you got the option, then there's that. So the music is it's like a MIDI rendition of the Doctor Who song. For the most part, I'm trying to think if there's different music in there, but that's what stands out the most.
Yeah, good music, good theme. Yeah,
yeah.
It's very good theme integration with this game. Very very good theme integration.
Low
Low quality sound, but they also killed it by bringing in the as Obi-Wan Kenobi said, they brought in the actors for it. So, they were doing things right. It's just early, it's limited by technology essentially.
Yeah, for sure. They were pushing it for what they were able to do for the time. They were like
yeah,
it does a good job of it taunts you. So there's a Dalek topper on the top, and it'll talk trash while it doesn't just scream exterminate. It's like, where is the doctor? And it's kind of egging you on as you play. So I like that aspect of it. It's like the Black Knight sort of rage before he existed in his current form. There is like a lot of vocal call outs and guidance to what you should be doing, or the one really cool sound moment is the sonic boom, especially if you got a subwoofer hooked up to it. So if you hit 10 upper loops,
it sounds good.
Yeah,
I gotta hand it to it. Yeah.
It does a big boom when you hit that 10th one, and then you can do the 3 ramp combo to cash it out. It's really good. So it's got some good pinball sound moments in addition to the one moment that really gets on everybody's nerves. So if you can overlook that, or if you're a Doctor Who fan, you'll understand why it makes the sounds it makes, right? It's just like the quality isn't there as you would want it these days.
Right.
Toys. So this game has one of the coolest toys in pinball.
Mm-hmm.
It's the time expander. So you see it in the back of the machine here. But here's a close up. So it's like in this. Where is it? I don't have one with it down. Do I have? No, I don't. So it starts out flat. So it starts out level with the playfield, and you have to hit the 2 locks on either side in the back. Once you hit those 2 locks, it raises up to this level, which you're seeing on the screen if you're watching the video. Which, if you've played Pinbot or Bride of Pinbot, or no, Jackbot is the other one that has it. Pinbot or Jackbot, where it's got the bank of targets in the front and then the grid of lights in front of that. You need to hit those targets to light up the grid in front. And then once you light up the grid, it raises up to the 3rd level, which is these 3 scoops with the Daleks on there. You want to ideally hit the one in the middle for your maximum jackpot value. But once you hit that, then it's off to the races. You're off and playing multiball. So actually, the multiball starts and then it goes up. Because then once the balls are in play, then you want to cash it out. So yeah, one of the craziest mechanical devices in a pinball machine. I don't know how you can't love this one, right?
I think it's really cool, man. I mean, this is a real interactive toy. Like, this is how you do it. It really is.
And there's a warning. I took a picture of this when I had the glass off taking pictures. So if you have the glass off and you turn the machine on, it'll issue this warning that the mini playfield will crush your fingers. It won't stop if it's going down and it's
decapitated fingers.
Yeah, it's gonna just crush your fingers. So
painful just fucking thinking about it.
Yeah. So word of warning: if you're working on your Doctor Who, turn the power off before you start playing with the mini playfield. Because
for the love of God, don't decapitate your fingers, please.
It's not gonna stop if you stick your finger in there. It's just gonna keep going. So there you go. Keep hands away, and it yells at you too. It's like, keep hands away from mini playfield. See manual title page for more information.
Now you can't sue us.
That's right. We warned you. And there's all sorts of like warning sound effects and stuff. So it really lets you know. It's hard to miss. But so the thing is, like, I think some operators and stuff, there's a switch when you slide the glass off that opens up, so it knows the glass is off. So if that switch is not there, and an operator took it off fingers. Or whatever, you're not going to get this warning, and you're not going to know. So be careful. Be careful. That's our public service announcement for
the more you know.
For Doctor Who. What's next? So that's toys. Display and lighting. So the display is, we're looking at it here. Standard dot matrix, upgradable to color DMD, as almost all dot matrix displays are. I think it's good, especially in color. What really stood out is so it's got all the different doctors in there when you're doing the video mode. So there's a video mode where you're spending a lot of time looking at the screen. It's got some cool renderings of the Doctor Who logo, and they kind of zoom in. Trying to think of other. Oh, what's cool is when you have the mini playfield up, it puts the 3 Daleks on the screen, and when you shoot the shot, it blows them up on the screen too. So there's good integration of the playfield action and the screen up above. I think for the time, it's one of the best.
It definitely is. I mean, it's got a video mode too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a good display.
Yeah, good display, well done, well executed. The lighting is actually really good on this game, and that's why I got the LED OCD, because it's got lots of good fading effects. That kind of slowly pulls up and down in the back box too, and I didn't want to lose that, because sometimes if you're not familiar with it, when you put LEDs in a machine, they have 2 states. They have on and off, whereas incandescents, the standard bulbs, they can take a little time to warm up to full brightness. So when they turn on, it takes a little time for them to transition from off to on. So you get slow fading effects, which if you switch to just LEDs, sometimes you can lose that depending on how the game is lit or how it's programmed. So this game, I wanted to keep that. So there's a board you can get called an LED OCD board that kind of tricks the LEDs into doing these fades. And it does a really good job. And I think for the time, it's got one of the best light shows. Really cool effects. Like I mentioned before, the back box has all sorts of different bulbs that blink and flashers all over the place. So really good light show. I like it a lot.
Yeah, agreed. Good for the time, especially when you put that in context.
Yeah, for sure. Gameplay. So let's talk about gameplay. Gameplay is how we shoot the game. Nick, why don't you take away on gameplay? I've been talking a lot.
Well, if I had to describe this game to somebody and they're familiar with pinball, I said, look, it's kind of the pinball layout, kind of, not exactly, but there's elements of pinball in this game, but it also has some design differences, such as the flipper on the left side. So that's the upper flipper on the left side is really nice because you can get into these kind of loops and they feel really good. That's a sonic boom thing. I think, Kevin, you really got to get your game dialed in, right? Otherwise, it can make that a more miserable or an easier experience. But I think one of the most satisfying things about the game is, and a way to approach it is hitting that upper loop and just comboing and hitting it over again. Extremely satisfying, kind of rhythmic. You're in the flow, in the zone element of the game. And then if you choose to play or playing it other ways or ignoring that or just going for other objectives, you've got this kind of wide open play field. At least everything's kind of far back with the God, I just said what the thing's called.
The time expander.
The time expander. That's way back there, right? Kind of pounding on it, hitting it, trying to open it up, and then you're hitting specific kind of targeted shots to get it into the Daleks. So it's got kind of, for it's not a wide body game, but it's got a lot going on in gameplay. I think it just shoots really well. It's a smartly designed game. It takes, I think, maybe some of the interesting good things about Pinball and makes it better, in my opinion. It gets rid of maybe some of the bad elements. It's also got lightning flippers on it, so it's a challenging game. It's not necessarily a long ball game. So it's a tough game. It's a challenging game. It's got some flow. It's got the other elements of coming back to you after you hit the time expander. I think it's really good. It kind of accomplishes a lot of things to it. Like, typically a game might be flow or non-flow. This kind of has a little bit of both going on, which is cool.
Yeah, you can get like awesome combos going, or you can do a little more dangerous play where you're shooting at the time expander and trying to go for the multi-ball, or taking a shot through the orbit, trying to get the video mode, and maybe it goes in and maybe it comes out and puts you in danger. One thing that I want to mention on the Playfield layout is when you shoot the upper loop, it can do two things. It can either come to the left flipper, or there's a diverter on the ramp.
That's right.
That'll feed it to the upper flipper. So once you start shooting that upper flipper shot, it'll keep feeding the upper flipper shot until you get 10 upper flipper loop combos, and then that's when you get your sonic boom, and then it's going to put you into the who combo, where it'll drop it down to the left flipper, the lower left flipper. You can shoot it up the right ramp, shoot it to the far left shot, the H shot, and then you shoot the O shot, the upper side ramp. For
There's some nice combos and flow. Like when you get in the flow in this game and you're grooving, it's a really good feeling.
Yeah. So you can also just do who combos. So if you start before you shoot the far left shot, kind of behind the upper flipper there, if you shoot the right ramp, that'll put you into combo mode. So it's gonna, instead of feeding the upper flipper, it's gonna send it to the lower left flipper, so you can keep hitting the three big combo as much as you can. And there's a good way to build up value there too. So that's it. I think you got your pop uppers in the back left. The plunge kind of goes into the TARDIS and feeds your right flipper, so it doesn't shoot it to the back of the game. It shoots it right to your flipper, so you can start taking shots right away. So really interesting, fun layout on this game. I like it a lot. So let's jump into the gameplay, and I think this is a game where this game really shines. So it's not like a mode-based game. It's definitely a score-based game.
Talk about rules or gameplay?
Rules.
Okay.
So yeah, let's talk about rules. Gameplay was the Playfield layout. So rules. Yeah. So let me show you where is it? So before you plunge, it's going to give you an opportunity to select one of your doctors, which is number 1 through 7 on the back box underneath the DMT. Each one of them will have a different perk that you can start out with, and eventually, as you play, if you're playing well, you can collect up to all 7 doctors. So Doctor 7, for example, when you're trying to shoot the grid of lights in front of the time expander, if you have Doctor 7 selected, then you only have to shoot. It gives you like 2 or 3 shots every time you take one shot. So it's going to fill up that grid a lot faster. So if you're going for multi-ball, he's your guy. But Before you have 2 balls locked, it doesn't really make sense to have him going because he doesn't benefit you until that bank of targets is raised up and you're able to start bashing those targets. So maybe you start with Dr. Six. Dr. Six takes your playfield multiplier. So every time you hit that upper loop, the side ramp there, every time you hit the side ramp, it's going to increase. So if you're looking at the playfield on the stream, there's a grid of lights kind of in an arrow pointing to the side ramp. And like it's 1.5x, 2x, all the way up to 4x. So if you have Dr. Six selected, every time you hit that side ramp, it's going to award you 2 lights instead of 1. So it's going to go up 1x instead of a half x. And then it's going to hold that longer. So it counts down if you haven't made the side ramp shot in a while. The multiplier starts to time out. So not only does it build up faster, it lasts longer. So I tend to start with Dr. Six. And the other doctors do other various things. Dr. 1 helps you on your video mode, and other doctors help you do other things like transmat other doctors or just give you more points for shots, things like that. So there's a lot of interesting scoring strategy in this game. It was kind of like Game of Thrones or Pirates of the Caribbean before those games existed. It is the first game that I can think of that has that kind of decision making to do before you even start plunging the ball.
So I just want to address a question in chat. So Obi Drunk Kenobi says, how do you feel about swapping those lightning flippers to the original intended full-length flippers? So I don't know too much about this. I vaguely remember, I guess the game was originally designed with normal flippers and they switched them at some point.
The story that I'm recalling, I don't know if this is true, right or not, but especially when it came to international play, they wanted the games were taking too long. So the lightning flippers were a way to reduce ball times, keep the money coming in. So a lot of times you'd see mods like that or changes like that from manufacturers after they got a game on location and got feedback from operators. I personally like it with the lightning flippers. I don't think it's a game I've had in my collection for a long time, so I know how my specific game plays a lot. So I'm very familiar with it. I kind of know the bounces and how it flows and things like that. I know where the shots are, so I don't mind having the little extra challenge of the lightning flippers. Mine actually did ship when I bought it had the longer flippers on it, and then I swapped them out. So I've played it both ways, and I'm fine with it the way it is like this. You can hit all your shots. It just makes it a little more challenging, a little harder to slap save the ball and keep the ball in play. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I always my default is like, well, what did the designer want on it, or what does the designer say? I mean, if Barry Alzer comes out and says, "Hey, look, this game should be played with normal flippers. I didn't design the game with lightning flippers. That's how it should be played." Then there's something to it. Normally I would say if somebody takes a game and they put normal flippers on it and it was designed for lightning flippers, then you're cheating, right? You do what you want with your game, but you're not playing that game anymore. You're playing something totally different. This is, I guess, a weird situation because I'm always familiar with this game of lightning flippers. Like that's how I think of this game. I think of it as lightning flippers, and I think most of the ones I've seen, somebody pointed out every picture on Pinside as lightning flippers. That's what I know it as. So this actually becomes into a weird thing. I think it's possible to justify using normal flippers on it, and I wouldn't call you a cheater like I normally would. Again, if Barry Alzer, I wonder what he thinks about it. Somebody reach out to him. He's on Facebook, and then share it with us in the Discord or something. It's really nice when you can ask the designer, what do you think? You design it this way. This is how it's shipping, or this is how it's mostly known or played as. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm always like how the artist intended, right? There's something to be said about playing it in their vision.
Yeah, I took the center post out of Hobbit because everybody at JJP, like Joe Katz and Eric Vinny, are like, no center post. Take the center post out. This game doesn't need a center post at all. There's no center
post.
Center
post is like a handicap accessibility. Like it's like, oh, if he fucked up and this game needs a center post.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like 4 locations, because there's so many times you're shooting those center ramps, and if the game isn't set up right, it's going to just shoot it right down the middle if you like do a half shot up the center ramp. So I wonder if whoever made that call,
who knows what the hell
was
Joe
like,
Balser was doing.
Yeah.
Put that in there.
let's put that in there and whatever. But but again, it's like set your games up however you want. If you want to start out with standard size flippers on Doctor Who, and then after a while you're like, oh, I'm getting pretty good at this. Let's swap them out and try the lightning flippers and see how you like it. Then it's your game. Play it how you want.
Yeah, I can always see going down and making a game harder, right? Like I respect that. Oh, the game's too easy. I'm gonna make it harder. I when somebody's swapping out and making it easier, I'm a jerk and I say you're cheating.
And you tell them they have baby games.
And I tell them they have baby games, and I shame them a little bit.
That's right.
Stop being a baby. Get better. All right. I don't care if you're miserable playing your fucking game that you spent $7,000 on. You're gonna fucking play it, and you're gonna get better and stop complaining. And you'll thank me one day if you don't sell the game and get upset. You're welcome.
Thank you, Nick. All right. Let's finish up the rules.
I'd make a good parent.
You would. So I consider there are 3 main ways to attack this game rules wise. You're going for score anyway, but there's 3 kind of scoring strategies you can go for. You can go for loops. You can loop all day. Loops with the Who combo to kind of, once you get 10, your Playfield multiplier up and you get the 10 loops, then you hit the Who combo and get like 120 million points. It's great. Great feeling. Good way to approach the game. I always remember you telling me, like, when you first played this in a tournament, somebody told you to just go video mode all day, which is another valid strategy, especially if you get your multiplier up, because multiplier applies to video mode as well.
Yeah, I mean, this game, you got to give a lot of credit to the software, especially, again, framing things at its time. It's like revolutionary, right? This is the first game that I'm aware of that lets you like modify the game by choosing like a different character or setup. Maybe there's another one that exists, but I don't think so. I mean, we see this reiterated in Game of Thrones, and then of course Pirates of the Caribbean, which Heath took it to the next level, made it amazing. But like, this was like a revolutionary idea. I can change the way the rules are, modify the rules, or get perk or benefit by choosing a different character. Fantastic. I mean, way ahead of its time. And what's really good about the rules is that there's not just one way to approach it. It makes it a very interesting tournament game. You always kind of got to think, how do I want to play this? Am I feeling like I'm in a rhythm and I can hit combos all day? Then you focus on the booms and stuff like that. Do I want to try maybe the longer play, which is maybe arguably safer in going through the video mode because I got the video mode memorized, right? Do I want to play it that way, or do I want to go the time expander multi-ball? So do I want to try to get my multiplier way up before I go to multi-ball, or just do a quick grab and go and just try to get some points on the board? That's fantastic. And a lot of games at the time aren't like that, right? It's a lot more linear and basic. So this game was, I think, just way ahead of its time in many ways, and deserves that acknowledgement, to the point where we're kind of using some of these like base layer rules today.
Yeah, and that's the third way to approach this game. So you got your combos, your root ramps, you've got your video mode, and the third is your multi-ball. You want to go for multi-ball. It's dangerous to shoot that stand-up bank, but if you got Dr. 7, he helps you out with that. And if you get your Playfield multiplier up, it applies to the scoring on your jackpots. So you can get huge points doing it there. And then there's also, that's like you can get to Battle Davros. So if you want to like play through the story of the game, that's where you want to focus. It
does have a wizard mode, right? You'd say that?
I guess, yeah. Like the Davros battle is like the wizard mode, but it's just getting enough multi-ball jackpots. There's not modes in it to get through.
That's right.
And I've never done that. Like I've never gotten all the way through because it gets really hard. So it's got longevity. There's still something in there I haven't done. It stays in my collection for that purpose. It's just a fun scoring game. Versus a mode-based game. The theme is fun. I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan, but I can appreciate it. The theme integration in the game. I think they did a good job all around and bringing it in. So I think I gave the score first last time. We want to have Nick do the first score here?
Sure. Yeah. This my inclination is to give it an 8, maybe an 8.5, right? So I mean, for the time. Yeah. For the time, this is just a really impressive game. I think it's still priced at a great deal of, $3,000 to $3,500 if you can pick it up. It's challenging. There's multiple ways to play it. It's got really good theme integration. It's hard to really slag it on anything. I mean, we've talked about some of the limitations with the sound. The backglass is not that great, but it's really good. And I'm not super into these 90s games when I think you get something better. today with today's technology and stuff. But man, this game deserves a lot of credit. So I'm going to be a little conservative and say 8, but at 8.5 is not out of the realm, and it's definitely one that if somebody was saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting a Doctor Who," I would say, "Look, go for it." I don't see how you can go wrong with Doctor Who. You can get one for a good price. It's a great game. It's challenging. Multiple ways to approach it. I think that I'd give it a little higher if it had more. It's funny to say modern rules because I think again in some ways it was ahead of time, but if it had like layers of like wizard mode and a little bit more, right, that would pump it up more. If the digital sound quality, if this game came out a couple years after when it was released, the sound would have been better, right? So there's some things that just hold it back from kind of getting a higher rating, but a very, very, very solid 8, and a game I certainly recommend to people.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, this game it's one of the last remaining real bang for your buck games, I think. That's actually good. You can get DMD games for like Street Fighter 2 for probably $1,500 still, but there's a reason why, right? Because that game is not fun.
Garbage.
This is a great game that you can still get for a reasonable price, reasonable in quote unquote pinball terms. I was thinking a little less. I would probably put a 7 on this. I don't know. Just you got to put a number on it. And that's where my gut was.
Don't
right?
overthinking it. Yeah. So I go gut with the numbers after I talk, and you can kind of suss out how we feel about the game. And we talk about and spend 30 minutes talking about everything else individually. Did we talk about the topper? That Donnie mentioned the topper.
Oh, we didn't.
And I can't believe this would have been.
I took a picture
huge,
of it too.
This would have been the worst review ever if we didn't talk about the topper.
All right,
That's
let's jump
another
back
huge
to
element.
Here, I got a picture. Where is it? There he is. So there's a Dalek topper. I think I mentioned it. That it taunts you when you get the multiball lit. He starts yelling at you and it lights up. And this is one of the really neat features of the Comet upgrade kit. Was it? So there's usually just like 4 standard bulbs that sit in front of it. Just behind there's a decal in the front, and we got the LEDs where you can point it up at the Dalek. So not only does he light up really cool, but there's this reflective paper in the back that kind of makes it look like a star field in there. It's really, really a cool effect. And so the first 100 games of this that got released actually have a moving Dalek topper. So it was designed to turn back and forth when it talks. And so you'll see some of the prototype games out there, or early production run games with the moving topper. There have been a few add-on kits that you can modify the existing Dalek if you've got one that doesn't move, because the software is still in the game to make it turn. You just need to have the right hardware in there, and the places where you plug it in on the motherboard are still in there. So you can upgrade it. It's very cool. One of the first really cool toppers, I think, and it does its job of drawing attention at the arcade, right?
Yeah, this game was impressive for its time. I don't think it gets enough credit sometimes, and it's only when we start talking about it, it's like, man, the rules were innovative, and the topper was like one of the best toppers. I mean, this might have been the best topper to date when it came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, they kind of crushed it with this game. I don't know, Kevin. I'm a little surprised, like a little bit, not a ton. I'm a little surprised though that we've not seen another Doctor Who from a company, because Doctor Who is it has a good amount of popularity to it, right? It's been such a long running series. It's still current. But there's also the nostalgia. I'm surprised we haven't seen another one.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good theme to redo.
I feel like if properties like Rick and Morty can get a theme, a machine these days, then certainly something with the heritage of Doctor Who can. It kind of checks all the boxes that pinball licensors look for. It's sci-fi. It's got nostalgia. It's also got modern connections. So if you look at games like Walking Dead or Deadpool, those are more modern takes. But Deadpool also has a long history too. So yeah, I'd be and there's all these other Doctors that this was based on the first 7 Doctors. There've been a whole run of new shows with new Doctors that you could bring in that kind of take it to the next level. Yeah,
I think we're due. Right, I'd love to see again. I'm hoping Stern, or even if JJP made, that would be.
Yeah,
I think because there's a lot of content in Doctor Who where you can kind of you kind of have a lot of leeway in what you want to do with the machine. There's so many episodes, so many kind of crazy sci-fi things in there that you can have a lot of fun with it and make some really cool toys too.